Super League 360 after the Hooter. Well, after the Hooters again, actually. Huddersfield Giants 22, Leeds Rhinos 56, 78 points at Huddersfield's home ground. My name's Lee Addison. I'm with John Davidson, who's at the ground. First reaction, John, to Huddersfield getting battered by Leeds?
Geez, there was a lot of tries.
Yeah, it was.
it was
Leeds,
like touch
Leeds
footy.
scored 10 alone.
Yeah, it was like touch footy at times. Brody Croft got 4. Yeah, it wasn't a great game. Leeds looked great, at times with the ball in hand. But Huddersfield, I think, were very poor. It's really hard to get a gauge on how good this Leeds team is because, Huddersfield were just very, very poor at times. And then, they even bagged a few tries themselves. So an end-to-end game. And there was some great moments. Lockie Miller's chip over the top was lovely, but not one for the purists, I'd say.
Yeah, the Super League tonight at Huddersfield taking a leaf out the NRL's book lately. Huddersfield tries Oliver Russell, Jacob Gay-Guy, Jacob Douglas, and George King. 2 goals from Oliver Russell and 1 from Tui Lillahea. For Leeds, they scored 10 tries. Brody Croft scored 4. That's normally the job of Mike Acevo to do, but he only got 1. Cameron Smith scored a try. Lockie Miller, Ryan Hall, Jack Bird, Jared O'Connor, who I thought had a really good game. Jake O'Connor scored 8 tries. 8 goals, sorry. Leeds started slowly, John, but it didn't take them long to respond, did it?
No, it was a horror start. Lockie Miller hooking the kickoff out in the full. Huddersfield kick a penalty, get the ball, 10 metres from Leeds line, and then score a pretty soft try, really. George King burrowing over between the sticks, and you thought, oh, well, this is a terrible start for Leeds. And then in a space of not long, they were, 12-6 ahead. And then, they'd raced out to basically 28-6 early on, and then just kept scoring. It was... Brad Arthur after the game he was disappointed with his team's defence. He just said it's not good enough.
I'm going to talk about that soon.
Yeah, I mean, you got to play both ends of the field, and I think he's right because it is great when you're great with the ball and you can open up defences and score points. But if you can't tackle and you can't defend, you ain't going to win enough games to win trophies or win cobs. So I think one little side note, obviously Brady Croft with the 4 tries, I think his partner's about to pop, as in give birth. So,
yeah, a girl, I think.
Yeah, maybe his mind was on other things, understandably, but if it was,
so he might get a 5th tonight.
Well, hopefully, if it's a daughter or a son, he can name them Try. Maybe that'd be a good Try Croft,
or Huddersfield or something. One thing I did notice: Leeds in attack just kept making Tui Lillahea make tackles. They just kept running at him and targeting him in the line. There's something that's getting on my nerves. On the Super League website, number 6 was listed as Adam Clune, but it was Tui Lillahea, and that's not the first time. Do you remember a few weeks ago I said that was a good kick from Clune, I think, and you said no, it was Lillahea, or I said it was a good kick from Lillahea, and you said no, it was Clune. Anyway, so whoever was in the number 6, and I think it was Tui Lillahea, he ended up missing a few tackles in the end, so that worked for Leeds. I think one of the big indications, though, is just before half-time, Huddersfield had a 67% completion rate. Leeds had 89 just before half-time, and that had set the tone for the game. And then I don't know if you remember, Huddersfield scored just before half-time, and indicative of that is just before at half-time, completion rate was 73% to Huddersfield and 85 to Leeds. So basically, Huddersfield got themselves back into the game by building a little bit of pressure. But in this game today, you didn't have to build much pressure to score a try, did you?
No, you didn't. I mean, there was some of the tries, as I said, were just literally barge overs, just soft defending, soft tackling. Liam Finn was pretty scathing in his press about his team's, particularly the first 2 tries, his team's defence. He said, they were nowhere near what they needed to be. And there was just some real. There was some great footy in there as well. As I said, Lockie Miller's chip and regather or chip and try was great. There was that flick pass, I think, from James McDonald to put Jack Bird over. But a lot of it was just, really, really poor contact, poor defence. Leeds moved the ball really well at times, and they were slick. We've seen them doing that in other games this season. We've seen them doing it last year, but when they come up against Hull KR, Wigan, etc., they're going to have to defend a lot better if they're going to get wins. And I think that's the hard thing. I've not seen the game, but I saw the Hull KR result, a massive win over Toulouse.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Again, it's hard to judge them because Toulouse are struggling. They've not got the squad to compete really week in, week out. But Hull KR maybe are getting back to their best that we saw last year.
Well, defence was at a premium today. I will just say that Huddersfield's try just before half-time, and this is going to be something that is going to come up in a big game soon and cause a lot of consternation. That was clearly an obstruction. So the Douglas try just before half-time, that was an obstruction. Anyway, defence was at a premium. Let me give you some stats. 51 missed tackles by Huddersfield, but 25 from Leeds. That's high. Both sides have a catch and wrestle defence style. So what that means is they tend to go in over the ball most of the time and just try and wrestle and use the momentum of the player to control. The NRL is quickly working out that doesn't work anymore. Look, one of the biggest wrestlers in rugby league history have been the Melbourne Storm, and look at how they're travelling. A coach that worked under Craig Bellamy for a long time there, Jason Riles, is having similar problems at Parramatta. Teams are going to have to tackle. They're going to have to tackle with their shoulders and stop the momentum of attacks. And both of these teams are trying to do the catch and wrestle. And the overarching theme about the way the game's going with the fast rucks, the 6 again rules, that's going to be out of the game. It should be out of the game now. The players need to learn how to tackle properly again, because that missed tackle statistic is awful on both sides of the field.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think one thing to note with tonight, for credit for Leeds, is they went with 3 middles. In their front row and their lock. And I thought Tom Holroyd was really good, really physical. And I think, Brad Arthur mentioned this, that they wanted size to combat Huddersfield's size, obviously, with the likes of Burgess. And I think they did that. They beat them up through the middle. And that was, I think, the main issue for the Giants. They were just so soft in the middle. And it was interesting because obviously Huddersfield had that shock win over Wigan, and then they backed it up with a good win over York, who were obviously down on troops, but kind of a fallback to grace for Huddersfield, their earlier performances. So it will be interesting to see how they bounce back in a few weeks. And Leeds, they're top of the comp, so not a 10 out of 10 performance, probably a 7 out of 10, but they did score 56 points. So I don't think defensively they'll get that kind of grace when they come up against the Robins and the Warriors. But
players have their own thermostat when it comes to the temperature of a game, and they will play according to what they need to. As soon as you start, the first 5-10 minutes, you get a sense of how tough the game's going to be. One thing about that game today, there was not one softening up period. It felt like it was soft it was relatively soft from the start. Some statistics for you, John. Giants 39% possession, Leeds 61. Now, I made the mistake of looking at the Super League website for my statistics, and thank God for Sky Sports or Fox in Australia. Completion rates in the end were Huddersfield 76%, Rhinos 89%. But according to the Super League website, the Rhinos had a 102% completion rate. So I don't know how you work that out. We'll just end on this topic when it comes to Leeds Huddersfield or Huddersfield Leeds, and then we'll just briefly talk about the other games that we've had so far this weekend. We had the question from Ian Martin on the email about Ash Hanley, and I promised I'd have a special look at him today. So for those who don't know, he's currently playing left centre, and he's a former winger, isn't he, Ash Hanley, who's playing centre?
A winger. Yes,
a winger.
Right, a winger.
Mate, I just want to remind you that you're in England, so shut the front door. And Ian asked how he is in what he looks like in terms of elite centres. I'm going to be brutal honest. Based on what I've seen today, and I will make sure, Ian, that I have a special look at him over the coming weeks. When it comes to elite centres, I mean, we're talking your Stephen Crichtons, your Herbie Farmworths and the like, Tony Staggs. Ash Hanley looks like a wing who's been moved into the centre, to me. That's what he looks like. So Ian was very excited about Ash Hanley in his email, and I really want to sound as respectful as I can. But yeah, I would just he played okay today, but I think, quite frankly, if me or you were in the centres today, we might have made a few inroads because the game was that loose. So yeah, your thoughts on what I've just said, John?
Yeah, I think he's having a good season.
Yeah.
I think probably wing is his best position. I think he's a top Super League outside back. Where that puts him in NRL standards and international standards is difficult. I think if he keeps his form up, he will be in the running definitely for England. And it is interesting that obviously Jack Bird's come in, but Harry Newman, who's obviously the incumbent England centre, has been moved or loaned out of Hull FC. Now, whether that's down to more to just attitude off the pitch, we don't know. But he wants game time, and I think part of Ian's question was about Ash Hanley and maybe going to the NRL. Or my understanding is, I think his partner's from Leeds. I think he's very happy at Leeds. He's settled. I don't think he's I could be wrong, but I don't think he's looking for a move to Australia. But yeah, I mean, he's been a great servant for that Leeds club and
he's 30 years old now. I mean, he's not a young pup. Final thing on Leeds, I have been saying consistently on this podcast since Vegas, basically, that the thing that will undo Leeds is their defence and their defensive system, and I've seen nothing today to change my mind on that. And I think Brad Arthur's got some work to do on it. In another couple of games, Lee beat York 18-6 at York today. So that will be a bit of a relief, I think, to Mr. Beaumont and Mr. Lamb.
Yeah, I mean, I was obviously at the Warrington game last week, and Lee had a few more troops back, and they were very gritty, courageous against Warrington. They probably didn't have enough class to get over the top of the Wolves, but it was definitely a step in the right direction, and obviously continue that today. I think for York, is that 5 losses in a row? Is that 6? I'm not sure. Obviously if we include the cup, but yeah, that's a certain worry. I don't know with York what players they're still missing from their spine. Obviously they've had some injuries, but yeah, again, much like Toulouse, and I was saying this to someone in the press box, they're on half the distribution, so you can't really expect them to compete fairly when you've only given them half the money of everyone else.
So, I mean, I'm really worried about Toulouse. I mean,
Toulouse is even worse because they've not only got half the money, they've got another €1 million that they're going to pay in travel costs.
We've talked about that 46-0 route from Hull KR, from the Hull KR perspective, but to lose at home by that score in the middle of the Super League season, or we're coming into the middle section of the Super League season, that's quite a concern.
Well, so I'd say we're still in the first third, aren't we? Are we in round 8? Is it round 8 or round 9 on the track? But yeah, we're not even really close to halfway. We're effectively a third in. So yeah, it is a worry, and I don't think there's budget there for them to go out and recruit. They already started the season with loans like Tyler Dupree. So yeah, it's gonna. I can only really see it getting tougher. I can't see it getting easier. And there isn't the thing about recruitment, as you know, Lee. It's not like football, and by that I mean soccer, where there's just players in other leagues that you can just pick up and roll in. There's only 2 professional leagues. Yeah. So, there's no quick fix. There's no easy answers.
Thursday, Hull FC lost at home to Saints 24-14, but that was overcome by the story pertaining to John Cartwright, who has since left his coaching role. We'll save a lot of this for our Super League 360 recording, which we're going to do on Sunday. But I think we both agree, John, that the way this has been handled and the treatment of John Cartwright has been absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, I think it's it was an interesting atmosphere from what you could tell by the broadcast at Hull. I thought Sky Sports did a good job. Obviously, John Cartwright was very emotional. He had the presser on Monday where, how gutted he was and how he didn't see it coming. We've still not really had any reasons from the club about why he's gone. But yeah, it was the whole broadcast was very interesting. Obviously, Andrew Abdo was interviewed, and I've managed to speak to Andrew Abdo this afternoon, writing a piece for Saturday, so we will be able to talk about that on the 360 next 360 pod. As my car lights want to flicker and maybe die out, that's probably my battery telling me to bugger off.
The 360 episode is going to be chocker because we've also got the North Wales thing too. NRL, your Sea Eagles 38-6 up against the Cowboys. Raiders 26, Storm 22. Storm have lost 5 on the bounce. And Dolphins 22, Penrith 23. Penrith winning in Golden Point. Couple of quick points there. Super coach Kieran Foran, obviously. Storm losing 5 on the bounce, unheard of, basically in modern parlance. And Penrith, even though they won by Golden Point, they're actually coming back to the pack a little bit. They had a defeat last week, and now they've scraped home because they've been flogging every team basically. So that's my thoughts around there. You got anything to add before your battery dies?
Yeah, no, I think you've got to give him his full name, Kieran Jack Gibson Foran. And I think they're gonna rename Freshwater Beach Foran Beach. But yeah, great to see Manly get up, and of course Tommy's hamstrings fell again. So it's just another tortured roller coaster.
All Kieran's done is lifted them to a 102% completion rate, mate. So I'll say on that, John, just to preempt our podcast on Sunday, is I would love a coaching job where I get somebody else to do the whole preseason, the first 3 rounds, and then just over. I would love it. Supply all the staff, put all the systems in place for 3. I'd love that. We're going to record 360 a little bit earlier. We're going to do it before the Wigan and Cass game because I need to watch Man City and Arsenal, and I can't do it if I'm recording because John makes me get up early all the time, even though he knows I hate it. So.
She's where your dedication is to the dodgy oil barons of Man City and not to the greatest game of rugby league. But anyway, I'll stay true to the listeners, and obviously if you've got any questions or topics for us for Sunday's record, send them in on Facebook or on X.
Yeah, John's Facebook profile is John Fake News Davidson. Go on, give your details quickly.
I think these days it's Panorama. Fraud Watch.
Yeah, Panorama.
Yeah. But no, on X, on Johnny D. Davidson, on Facebook at John Davidson Journalist, and as of yesterday on Instagram at John Davidson. Well, sorry, Johnny D. Davidson RL, I think. But yeah, follow me on Instagram for terrible videos and bad takes.
Your videos when you're just talking to your camera, you're a different person. Like, oh, so today this is what's happened, and you're different. you need to lighten up on your video.
Yeah, there's 2 words, Lee. I think one starts with F and the other one starts with O. But we don't want to get kicked off YouTube, so we can't use those.
So I will see you on Sunday, and we'll look forward to ripping into all these issues. Take care.